Good morning to our listeners here on Long Island. It's a pleasure to welcome you to another episode of Suffolk Matters, where Suffolk County meets Suffolk AME. All right, so last week we had some United States veterans from Boots to Blues on the show. And today we're fortunate enough to be joined by Ron Hurtado, a veteran of the 173rd Army Airborne Brigade. Ron is also a founder of the nonprofit organization, the Airborne Tri-Team. Ron, thanks for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so before we get into the great work that you've done here, helping veterans through the Airborne Tri-Team, can we talk a little bit about your service? I mean, you were deployed to the Middle East multiple times since you enlisted in 2006. Let's talk a little bit about the service.
I had a great 12 years active duty that I did. Right now I'm in the reserves. Deployed to Iraq, deployed to Afghanistan. Just came back from another tour that I was bouncing all over the Middle East, and lived pretty good. And got my first duty station was Italy. Then I was in Germany,
nice,
and everything. Then I got stationed out here in Long Island. Which,
right.
I love Suffolk County, and I was happy to make it my home.
Awesome.
That's why I stayed here.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit last week with the guys from Boots to Blues and just getting into how, service life it's unique. And only those people that have gone through it really have that same level of understanding. And sometimes people can feel isolated when they come back home and are now, transitioned into civilian life, and they don't really have the same experiences that they can share on a day-to-day basis with people. So I always think that groups like yours, they do a great job of folding people, back into the community, so to speak, by finding that touchstone, those like-minded people that have those shared experiences.
And yeah, you are absolutely right. And that's part of the reason why I created what I did, was because I felt that was missing. That's what a lot of veterans was missing, because when we're in the service and we're there, everything we do, we don't do it for each other. We do it for the guy on the left, for the guy on the right.
Right.
And make sure that we're always taking care of one another, make sure we're looking for each other's back. Everything. I would take a bullet from any of my guys would take a bullet for me.
Right.
And then you come back here and it's just like, you're alone.
Everybody's on their own.
Everybody's on their own, and it's just like,
Nobody's
figure it out, and,
Yep.
and it's like nobody really cares. So when I saw that, when I started transitioning, I was like, wow, this is really crazy. And
Right.
And the whole 22 veterans committing suicide, I'm like, these guys have done so much for our country, and then we come back and we're sending them and trying to create this cookie cutter program for everybody, and it's not.
It's just not the way of the world. Sometimes you see that in public schools too, where they say, okay, this is how you have to learn this particular thing, and everybody's a little different. Some people learn by listening, some by reading, some by hearing. Some people like calm voices, other people need like animated, and I'm sure you had a couple of animated guys in the service, right? They knew how to shout you into action.
Yeah, me, I always like learning, by push-ups and running and
yeah, right.
So that was my best way. All right, I'm not gonna do it again. That cost me 100 push-ups. So yeah, that's how I like to learn. But I felt that was missing, and that's part of the reason why I created that. And we do it through sports.
Right.
So, we help the guys set up a goal, and we make sure that they achieve it. I hate when they tell me, I can't do that. No, tell me you don't want to do it.
Right.
Don't tell me
Let's
you
be
can't
honest.
do it. Yeah,
right,
tell me you
right.
don't want to do it. I respect you more.
Yeah.
And you put them on the spot,
Yep.
and you question their ego, and you push them, and before they know it, they're running a marathon.
They're doing it, man. Yeah. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. I just want to talk a little bit, getting back to your service, just a few of the awards that you've gotten. I mean, you get Combat Action Badge, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, the NATO Medal. I mean, you were an active, and not only just active, in the military, but you look to achieve, and that's these things. They don't just hand them out to anybody.
I guess I was, I don't think there's anything special that I've done. I think anybody in the position that I was in would have done the same exact thing. So I'm happy to be recognized.
Right.
My last tour got a meritorious service medal for being in like 7 different conflicts at one time. So it was an honor for me to get those type of awards and being recognized. But I I don't think I did anything special.
Right.
Anybody else would
Well,
have done
there
the
was a
same
lot of
exact
guys
thing.
there with you too. I mean, so it's it's to me, there's something special, and especially coming from the perspective you're coming from to say, listen, anybody would have done the same. Those of us that have run into burning buildings, so to speak. That's kind of what you think, like anybody would have done it, but it's not always the case. Not everybody would do that. So, I just want to thank you, not just for your service to this country and not just for doing, above and beyond the bare minimum, but now what you're trying to do in the community to help veterans transition. So, my thanks to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. It's being in the service, you live a life of service. So you
Right.
always, that's installed into you from day one that you always want to give back. You always want to help. You always just trying to be there for somebody else.
Right.
And so it's like, why can I do it now?
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's something we got into last week. You saw a problem, and you started thinking about how can we solve this problem, and you put something together, and you got it off the ground, and it's going. Not everybody does that, so that's definitely a service to the community as well. So. You were originally from Staten Island, so when you came home and put roots in Long Island, what was there a particular thing that happened that made you realize, like, I've got to put together the Airborne Tri-Team?
It was, coming here, right, and coming from the 173rd, where rotation is, 1 year off, 1 year on, like, we're constantly deploying, we're constantly everything, and then coming here and got stuck in recruiting. I felt, and I was just like in like a rut, and I'm just like what is going on with me that I don't feel, right. But being in recruiting is more civilian, like
Sure.
so I can't be cursing. Cursing
Right.
out in front of this. I have to behave. I can't just muscle my opinion into whatever I
Yep.
feel it is. I can't just use rank. And so it was tough transitioning. So I just started wondering, like, how many guys were feeling the same way that I was. And,
Right.
I was not sleeping. I was not, I just wasn't myself. So I went to VA. They put me on all these sort of medication. You have this, you have that. And I'm just like, okay. All right, well, thank you. And,
Right, right.
but I wasn't me, and so I just started doing sports. I started bike riding, and I just started running, and got with the Savo running company and started doing 5Ks and 10Ks, and
Right.
just started getting other guys involved, and they were all going through the same thing. It was 3 of us, and and we were there for each other, and then we're like, all right, this is getting a little expensive. We're in the service, we don't get paid that much, but we love what we're doing, so we decided to put the nonprofit together.
Yeah.
And, and started.
No, that's great. And again, it's another situation where, the cookie cutter response, which was designed to be the best possible thing that could be implemented for everyone, doesn't always work for everyone. So to say, hey, come on in, we'll get you, some medication, we'll have some conversations about how you're feeling or whatever, but it wasn't what you needed. And you knew it wasn't going to be what other people needed as well.
Yeah.
For some people, it's the perfect solution.
Yeah.
But for a lot of other people, no. The Airborne Tri-Team is the solution. Having something to look forward to, something to push yourself. Because in the service, you're constantly doing, and you're constantly, maybe testing your limits, so to speak.
Yes.
And that's something that's missing in civilian life. It's not quite as common. So, Ron, we had the pleasure of meeting the first time when we sponsored your brunch fundraiser early in 2019, and that was very well attended. And we had some big people come down and show support as well. I know the county executive Steve Malone was down. I remember legislator Lindsay was there as well. But But how have you grown this nonprofit to be so successful since 2015?
Just word of mouth and just showing our work. That's basically it. You know, everybody that's on the team is there just to help. Nobody's there to, get a paycheck. Nobody's there anything, and we just put our work. We put our money where our mouth is.
Right.
You know, and I show these guys accountable. And on top of that, we give back to the community. You know, we help the kids. We try to get involved as much as we can, and the county exec, he's been a huge supporter of us.
Yeah.
I mean, we appreciate you guys sponsoring us, and it was really meant a lot to us. And we look forward to doing a lot more stuff with you guys.
Yeah, yeah. So we are always looking at different nonprofits that have, as their core mission, something that's similar to our core mission. And as government workers, we come in, day out, and the work that we do on any level is very important to keeping the government of Suffolk County running. And keeping the government of Suffolk County running keeps the economy going, keeps law and order in place, and it really is just this community of altruism, let's call it. And so when we heard about your group and what you guys were doing, we were curious. We wanted to come down and participate. And since that time, learning, what it is you guys do and the effect that it's had on the people that participate in your program, it's something that we believed in. And I think it's something that will continue to grow. Like you said, in showing your work, there's always a concern, I guess, on the part of, maybe the everyday person, like, well, what if I support this nonprofit? How do I know that, my support is actually going back to people or whatever else? And you guys have done an excellent job of taking the resources that have come to you and leveraging it the best possible way for the participants. So, again, I got to commend you. So how do you feel, just getting back to the program itself, how do you feel, or I guess to what extent does the exercise and the competition and camaraderie, how much of that is what you feel is effective in combating the PTSD?
To be honest, that's the least part of it. Is mostly is the goal setting and what goes in between it, while we're training for it, all the,
Right.
All the stories that they're sharing and everything that they're going through, so they know they're not alone. When the girlfriends and the wives get together, she was just like, oh my God, I thought he was the crazy one, but it's not just him, it's
Right.
this guy, it's this guy,
Yeah.
it's this guy. So all that stuff that goes in between it, that's what really, that's the glue.
Right.
At the end of the day, crossing the finish line is great and it's
Right.
this wonderful feeling and everything, but it's knowing all the hard work that you put into it, and for you to get there, that's what makes it.
So it's the having something to do and the willingness to work to get there that
Yeah.
really kind of keeps your mind busy and I guess on that path to healing.
Yeah, and I mean, we take their weekends away, so they're not out getting in trouble and being
Right.
knuckleheads. So Saturdays we have a raise, or Sunday we have a raise, or we're training, or everything else. So it's just like, instead of you out being in the streets getting drunk and causing problems,
Right.
you're at home sleeping because you're training
Because you
6 o'clock in the morning.
Right. You worked hard,
Yeah.
right? No, that's great. Now that's I guess in and of itself, the thing that you're offering on the surface is the chance to participate in a particular race or a competition, but really what you're doing is you're giving them a mission, a purpose.
Yes, and we give it to them, and they feel we're accomplishing it for them. But at the end of the day, it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb. I'm just pushing you, not letting you quit.
Right.
You're putting the miles in, you're putting the hours in, you're doing the work, and it transpiring to the home environment.
Right.
Then you come out here like, you know what, I could go for that job, and you know what, I could go for that degree.
Yeah.
And I have this benefit, and I could do this, and everybody knows a little bit of something, so we all take from each other.
Right. Yeah. And that's the beauty of community.
Yeah.
So, so now you're not just doing local charitable work. Your team has gone to South America, and you're bringing aid to children. Tell me a little bit about what that trip was. You know, some of the experiences you had.
Yeah. So I'm originally I was born in Nicaragua.
Right.
I was born over there. So I came here when I was about 9 years old, and then to me it was always something I wanted to do. I know what it is to be poor. I know what it is to be blessed and to have a whole bunch of stuff. You know,
Right.
Went to Afghanistan, went to Iraq. I would have loved to go back to Afghanistan, some towns, and just give back and be able.
Right.
You know, we can't do that right now.
Yeah, no, now's not the time.
Yeah, now's not the time. But so you know, we decided to pick a place, and we were looking at, you know, to go to Haiti, and then too many diseases and everything else, and then, you know, I was like, yo, Nicaragua is not that bad and everything. So we decided to just put that mission together. We went down there, and, you know, we fed over 400 kids. We gave them clothes. We gave them toys. You know, we have some kids that never had a toy before.
Right.
And we gave them the first remote control car, and
Yeah.
and just had a day of peace for them, because we went down there and there was a civil war going on at the time that we went down there.
Wow.
So it was like the people were trying to overthrow the government. So funny story is like as soon as we landed, we're like looking for the house and the Airbnb thing. We have luggage full of toys and clothes and everything else. And we get run up by the police.
Right.
Like 30 police with AKs drawn out, pull us out. And I'm like, hey, we're Americans. You don't want to do this right now.
Yeah.
Like,
This is probably
you
worse
know,
for you.
And so, but they were, you know, they weren't that bad, you know, and they pointed us in the right direction, and they let us do what we had to do. So
Awesome.
it was good. It was a blessing.
Yeah, you know, it really isn't easy. You know, if you just grow up, you know, let's use Suffolk County as an example. You just grew up in Suffolk County, and, you know, there was always giant shopping centers full of food, clothes, toys. There's always gas. You know, if you have a vehicle, which most people do, you had access to these. You know, I mean, and that's just the reality of how things are here. It's very hard to wrap your head around, you know, a life where someone could just grow up not having a toy, never knowing anything other than just complete and total poverty.
Yeah. And you learn to appreciate the little things. And that's what a lot of the guys that went down there, they were like, wow, we really blessed. And I'm like, everything is a mindset, whether you think you're poor, whether you think you're rich, or whether you think you're great, or you're whatever it is. It's a mindset that you have. I'm like, somebody out there always has it worse.
Yeah.
And, you know, but sometimes we get so lost in our thoughts, we don't know that.
We're looking up. We're looking up. We're saying, why can't I be Bill Gates?
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's one Bill Gates,
Yeah.
you know. But there are more places probably similar to Nicaragua than there are similar to Suffolk County.
Yes.
You know,
Definitely.
so it is a rarefied situation that we were, you know, placed into. So, and, you know, again, I know I'm doing this a little too much, but it strikes me, you know, because you could have, you know, with your knowledge and your experience said, you know what, I actually have it pretty good, and I'm going to kick back and I'm going to take it easy. But that's not what you did. You know, you said, I'm having this problem. I think other people are going to have this problem. Let's figure out how we can solve this and put together the Airborne Tri-Team. There's something special there, you know. So, again, thanks again. I know.
I appreciate it.
I know I'm doing this too much. I apologize. I'm not trying to embarrass you. So, in addition to sponsoring the Airborne Tri-Team, AME was a proud sponsor of the Suffolk County Marathon for Vets. And you were very instrumental in getting that effort off the ground since 2015. And you now have a charitable 5K that's part of the marathon's Veteran Run series. Can you tell me a little bit of your experience with the Suffolk County Marathon?
Oh, so the Suffolk County Marathon, that was a project. And we decided that was our first year coming up. And we decided to, instead of running the marathon, we were gonna ruck march it. And we're gonna do 22 miles plus one. And so we've been doing that ever since. So we'll get the guys and we'll put a nice 45-pound pack on them, some boots, and they'll walk that to bring awareness to veteran suicide.
Sure.
And, you know, and the plus one is for civilian suicide, because it's not just veterans,
right.
You know, and to bring awareness to people that it's not always that bad. It can be, life. There's always a better tomorrow. There's always
Right.
something to look forward to. So it's just like, instead of just running and taking it easy, like, no, we're going to make it hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Listen, that's got to hurt.
yeah, I mean, the next few days it does,
Yeah.
So that's why. So we've been doing it ever since. And we were blessed enough with the county exec and everybody. We have our 5K, which this year is going to be in July 13
Okay.
in Sayville. And it's part of the Veteran Run Series. So it's a great race. County exec comes to it every year.
Right.
And look forward to having you guys over there.
Yeah,
this
we're
year.
going to be there, man.
Yeah.
So that's July 13th in Sayville.
Yes.
Part of the Veteran Run Series. Now, at the Suffolk County Marathon, there's going to be the people that you're involved with coming down, all the different veterans that you guys work with all the time. But are you finding that there's a continuous influx of more and more veterans year after year that aren't even maybe necessarily part of your group, but more veterans coming?
Yes. I mean, I think word is getting out, like how good Suffolk County is to veterans.
Right.
And that's why a lot of veterans like to make it their home.
Right.
Because I think Suffolk County is the second highest population
we're
of veterans.
we're
right?
the top 3 in the nation, and the highest in the state of New York.
Yeah, and it's because the services, they're here for veterans.
Yes.
Having such a welcoming community is amazing. Like, wherever you go, you're a veteran, they thank you,
Right.
New York City, home of 9/11, right?
Yeah.
You figure it would be the same, and
Yep.
it isn't. So
It sometimes is, it's almost automatic. Like, you see someone that you say good morning or hello
Yeah.
or whatever else. And if you see somebody that's clearly identified as a vet, you say thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just understood in Suffolk County. And I'm proud to be part of that. I don't think you're wrong. Veteran services in Suffolk County is really, I think, tremendous and applaudable because in Suffolk County we have the understanding of the sacrifice that people made. People could have chosen different paths in life, but they said, no, I'm going to do this on behalf of other people. The people beside me in the trench and the people back home that I'm doing this for, And I think it's incumbent on everyone to be thankful for that and to do what they can. But Suffolk County actually, much like you did, they took that concept and they put it into action and made it so that they could help solve as many problems as possible for veterans. And it's a great opportunity in Suffolk County because of all the diversity here. There are a lot of opportunities for people to find work and community to be a part of.
Yeah, and I mean, the tax break when you're a veteran is it's amazing.
It matters.
Yeah,
It matters.
It makes a huge difference to be able to stay here.
Right.
So it's I don't know. I love Suffolk County.
So your upcoming Airborne 5K is July 13th in Sayville?
Yes.
And where is there some sort of a place where people can sign up and get more info? Or
Yes, you could follow us on Facebook. All the updates are there. You could go to elitefeet.com and look up Airborne 5K.
Okay.
Sayville. It'll come up. If you Google it, the link will come up for you to register.
Okay.
And then I look forward to having you over there.
Yeah,
you think
man.
you're going to be Ryan?
I'll be there. Oh, listen, I'm not. My running days, I think, might be behind me.
See, you just tell me you don't want to do it.
There we go.
Tell me you don't want to do it.
That's what I was waiting for. He's a man of his word.
Yeah.
So, but I will be there. I will be there.
Look forward to having you.
So we had our event May 11th, which was the May Day Music Festival.
It was amazing.
Beautiful day, great turnout, and we were glad to have you there and engaging in the community as well. I mean, do you always look for things like this as well as what you're doing? Like, are you always seeking to grow what it is your mission is?
Yes, I always look forward to being in the community and always trying to help. Always looking for a way to help. And your event, so many people showed up. It was great, and we had a good time. So we want to thank you for having us and everything you did for us.
Awesome. Yeah, and we appreciate you being there. So are there any other events on the horizon for you that we haven't talked about today?
Just Airborne 5K, and then the Suffolk County Marathon. That's the next big thing that we're getting ready for. And then the guys have their Ironman coming up in the end of October.
What's the Ironman about?
Listen, Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a marathon.
Oh, that's it?
That's it,
All right.
So
I'm going to tell you I don't want to do that.
I don't know. I think, a little bit more interviews. I think we could talk you into one.
All right. Very persuasive, and that's what gets the job done. So, every time I do these shows, I get to a series of things that are of interest to me and I want to find out about, but it's also an opportunity for me to ask you, is there anything we haven't talked about today that, you'd like to be out there, that you want people to know about, about yourself, about the Airborne Tri Team, anything in general that we didn't touch on that you might want to?
I just, when I like to tell people that, whenever you see a veteran, is just ask them how they're doing. Just, I understand a lot of people thank you for your service, everything else, but just sometimes they just want to be asked how they're doing.
Right.
And, you never know what that veteran's going through. You never know what any person's going through. So at the end of the day, just ask them how they're doing, everything, and just try to, take care of each other.
Yeah. And, sometimes, that's an interesting point, because sometimes the answer isn't going to be, yeah, everything's fine. That's, I think, what people want to hear when you're like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Good. Let's make it nice and easy. But sometimes it's worth taking that extra second. Again, thanks for your service. I think, that's a fairly standard thing in Suffolk County. But asking how you're doing and then taking a moment to hear.
Yeah.
And you might not have a solution for the person, but you heard them out. They got to voice it, and maybe sometimes just getting that thought out of their head and into the world, maybe that's a help, and it's worth doing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a great point. So my guest this morning was Ron Hurtado, and he runs the Airborne Tri Team, or formed the Airborne Tri Team, right?
Yes.
Runs and formed.
Yeah.
And obviously you can tell from what we discussed this morning, someone that's been very involved his entire life in giving back to other people, and he continues to do so now in the form of helping vets have a day-to-day mission that they can focus on and help them transition back into civilian life. And Ron, I really want to thank you for everything you do. I know I've said it about 10 times during this interview, but I genuinely mean it. It's not everybody that would step up and do something like this. And I want to thank my listeners, for joining us today, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome.